Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it, and we're just going to break down Mikey Garcia versus Danny Garcia, and we're going to give a more in-depth analysis of these two guys fighting. On the offhand, you see both guys coming off their last fight. Mikey Garcia is coming off a 12-round unanimous decision, lost to Errol Spence Jr. He did take Errol Spence Jr.'s best shots. He did survive the entire fight, but he was not very competitive in the fight. On the other hand, Danny Garcia is coming off a knockout victory over Adrian Granados, someone who had never been knocked out before in the 7th round. Danny Garcia is a very, very strong puncher. I think this will be a very interesting fight. I think this is a winnable fight for Mikey Garcia. I think it's close to a 50-50 fight, but I'm going to edge it out 55-45 for Danny Garcia at this point, because the way I look at it is I look at Mikey Garcia. He's an elite level name and talent at 135 pounds and even 140 pounds. But at 147, the fact that he was so relatively uncompetitive against Errol Spence Jr., I understand he's one of the better fighters of the division, but it just does not give me 100% confidence that he can compete at 147 pounds. Mikey Garcia is 31 years old, so he's relatively in his prime. He's 5'6", and he has a 68-inch reach. And then when you look on the other hand for Danny Garcia, he's 5'8" with a 68.5-inch reach. He's 31 as well, and he's in his prime. So these are two prime fighters meeting, and Danny Garcia has the obvious height and reach advantage, which is going to play a role in this fight. Danny Garcia is a very, very strong puncher, and I don't know if Mikey Garcia is going to get caught. And can he take that power from Danny Garcia? Because Mikey Garcia is not the fastest fighter, and that showed a lot when he fought Errol Spence Jr. But then again, we don't know how adjusted to the weight Mikey Garcia is. While I do think this is a winnable fight for Mikey Garcia, I think it's also a fight that he could potentially lose. I don't recommend him fighting at 147. I think 140 is his best weight. But I think that this is a very winnable fight for Mikey. I think it's a fantastic fight. I think that when you look at the fight and you break it down, I think the fight will end one or two ways. I think Mikey Garcia can potentially beat Danny Garcia in a 12-round decision if he boxes smart, actually uses lateral movement, and actually makes adjustments and ups his work rate against Danny Garcia. But on the other hand, I see Danny Garcia winning by catching Mikey Garcia with some hard counters and possibly even stopping him late in the fight because of the power. Because we know Danny Garcia is a very, very strong fighter. Because we know Mikey Garcia took a lot of punishment early in the first fight against Errol Spence. We just don't know. So if Mikey Garcia does win this fight against Danny Garcia, it would prove a lot, and it would mean a lot for Mikey Garcia to win this fight. It'll put him in the sweepstakes for Manny Pacquiao or Keith Thurman winner. And if Danny Garcia wins, the same will be true. So I think this will be a very interesting fight. Right now I have it 55-45 in favor of Danny Garcia because of the height and reach advantage, because he's already acclimated to the weight of 147 pounds, and because Mikey Garcia, he's somewhat unproven at welterweight. So we have to see how he does, and I commend Mikey Garcia for not taking any tune-ups, for not doing any of that for this fight. I give him that. He wants to fight the best. But if he loses this fight, he's dropped completely out of the pound for pound. Some people have dropped him all the way to the bottom of their pound for pound. And, that one-sided loss to Errol Spence Jr., he's still a pound for pound fighter in my book. But if he loses this next fight to Danny Garcia, this is it for him in the pound for pound. 2 back-to-back losses. And, Mikey Garcia is done at the elite level, at least at 147 pounds. And maybe even at 140, because we don't know the damage and toll this could take on him. But if Mikey Garcia does win this fight, Mikey Garcia proves a lot to the doubters and haters. And if he does win this fight and somehow miraculously gets by and beats a Thurman or a Manny, which is also very competitive fights for him as well, and he wins a belt, then he could potentially unify in a rematch with Errol Spence. That would be an interesting fight. But I don't see much changing for Mikey and Errol Spence in a rematch because of Errol Spence Jr.'s boxing style, because of his height and reach advantage. I would have to give Spence the edge in that as well. So that's seeing far down the line. But you can see why Mikey Garcia is so determined to win a 5th division world title for legacy reasons. But I think, honestly, Mikey should end up fighting Loma or fighting at 140. One of the top fighters, such as a Regis Prograis, a Josh Taylor, or Maurice Hooker. Those were the better fights for Mikey. But ultimately, this will still be a great fight, and may the best man win. Once again, Unbiased as always, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.